Are you ready to join me in transforming fear to freedom? That's the objective of the show. Are you ready to explore with me and my guests? Are you ready to get into the deep and play? This is where it's at, and that's what it's all about. No medical advice here. Use discernment and decide for yourself if the information is right for you. All views and opinions expressed on this show belong to the individual and are not necessarily shared with the producer of the show. Want more details? Go to letsgetrealchattinwithcatherine.com. Now let's get real and have some fun. Who are we going to explore with today? Come on with me and let's get into the deep. Hello and welcome back to Let's Get Real, Chattin' with Catherine. We are in January of 2015 and I've been recently inviting people to come on the show and talk about the new energy and what they're noticing, especially intuitives and people who are really connected to their spiritual guidance and aware of what's going on the planet. Today's guest is Teza Zialcita, and she is the author of Universal Conscious Self. And she is just a sweet soul who is a nurse in her private life, but also has stepped into more fully into her gifts and sharing what she knows about the Akashic Records and how you can also work with her to gain access to that wisdom for your own benefit in your own life, to really figure out like a little bit more insight into your path, into maybe some blocks or that kind of thing. We've talked before about her book, about how you can use it, how you can connect with her and work with her in private sessions. I know she's just recently been in Hawaii. Woohoo, great energy there. So we're going to find out what she's picking up on, what her insights are, how maybe give us some tips on how we can move forward in this new energy, which I'm getting from everybody I talk to. This is a lighter energy. It's a number 8, which is prosperity, and it's going to be easier for us, but I think that part of that easiness is recognizing some of our hurdles, seeing them, and then clearing them. And Teza's got some great tools and insights into all of that. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with her. If you want to know more about her, go to lgrcc.com to the guest link, and you can read all about her and the other guests. We've had some fabulous guests on this season, and in previous seasons, you can listen to the archives for free right through the website links, and also read the blog and check out the other social media. I also have a page on Facebook and a page dedicated to making friends with death, which is another area that I like to talk about and share, hoping to uplift people, maybe look at it in a different way. So that's Catherine Clarity Whisperer on Facebook, but you can get the Clarity Whisperer link as well right on the website. There's also some other things there that you can take a look at if you're interested in. I've just done a show with the wonderful Jo DeBlee and her Frockalicious events, which is all about being authentic. And it's interesting because the theme seems to be about being our authentic selves. And I recently did a show with Shelley Dressel on that very same topic. So it's been quite the January so far, with all the different intuitives and people who are channeling higher guidance and what they're sharing with us. And as you will notice if you've been to the YouTube channel or to the website, Rose San Gregorio also joined me talking about the new energies. So we've had some amazing people. Debbie Colleen joined me. Norma Cowie is going to be joining me later in this month. So yeah, we've got some amazing people sharing and helping us to transform our fear and move into freedom. That's what it's all about on Let's Get Real, Chatting with Catherine. And right now we're going to talk to Teza Zialcita and see what she's got going on. So welcome back to Let's Get Real, Chatting with Catherine. Teza, I am so appreciative that you have agreed to join us again so we can have this chat and talk about what's going on in your world and what you're picking up on from the Akashic Records and your trip to Hawaii and all that awesome energy. And so thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Catherine. And I'm so happy to be here with you. It's always nice.
It is. It's nice to catch up. And I know, I've had a few guests on to talk about this new energy, and I really feel it. I really feel the lightness of this 2015, and I I felt it probably just right after New Year's. And although it's not, I don't feel like it was like cut and dried. I mean, there's stuff going on in the world, but there's a lightness and there seems like a willingness, like more people seem to be wanting to get along and stuff like that. What are you picking up?
I feel more expansion, like really a breakthrough for my little world, and also for others. Like the group that comes to me, they're very inspired, and they're really opening their authenticity, because they're like in their 20s and 30s, and they couldn't find a way to express themselves. And now they're really opening and accepting their gifts, their creativity, and more artists are coming out of their shell.
Whoa,
So
that.
it's awesome.
And when you say the people coming to you, you do some regular group events in your in British Columbia. Where are you exactly in?
In British Columbia, it's in Burnaby, which is very close to Vancouver. I do meditations during full moon and new moon energies.
Ah.
Yeah, and I find that there's so many people during full moon, because that's when people are releasing emotions, and the new moon is more for people who wants to have new projects, intentions, and it's amazing. I love the group, and they come to my home, and it feels like family.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this particular last full moon, I thought was huge for energy shifts.
Yes, it was crazy. It's a full moon in Cancer, which is the Cancer is about emotions, and there were 32 people in my home. I don't know how we fit in there, but it's amazing. Yeah, it was such an intense energy, because also there was like a Grand Cross. I follow astrology.
Mm-hmm.
I studied it like just level one, but I really love to know what's going on in the energy with astrology.
Well, it
And
affects us, doesn't it? The
yeah,
astrological signs, they affect us too. Like where the planets are lined up, that has an effect on us on the planet Earth as well. So, and the moon and the shifting of all of those things, right? So it's always,
yes,
and it's nice if you can kind of follow it ahead of time. So
yeah.
that
So
instead,
you know,
well,
you
it's
know
like
where you're going to be.
right now we're in I think we just went into Mercury retrograde. And
Yes,
so if you know that, like with me, with my shows and clients and so forth, I confirm and then I reconfirm and then to make sure that everything is, because that's what happens in Mercury is sometimes it's like communications go off and things happen. And if you know that, you can be a little more flexible when things don't work. You can go, oh, well, all right. But if you don't know, it's like, what's going on? I've tried, things,
panic.
things that normally you don't need to confirm or things that you expect to work and so on. So I think it's important to know that. But when you tap into the Akashic Records, what are they giving you? What are you accessing about this time 2015? Because I know it's also numerology is a number 8, which
Yeah.
I had a numerologist on last night talking about Vicky McKinnon, who's a master numerologist, and she was
I want to hear that
oh
one.
yeah, it was very exciting. And she was talking about the prosperity of the number 8. So I just wondered if are you getting any insight or heads up for us, or what can we
Yeah.
expect?
I literally is the power and abundance for number 8. So is that vibration that I'm feeling, and also the people around me. So it's more getting fearless. So it's really getting into your being an entrepreneur and expressing your gifts. So that's the vibration that I'm getting. But I think it's slowly getting into like we had to get to the point where the Uranus and Pluto, that square
Yeah.
is going to be over by March 2015. So slowly we're getting into that, out of that window. But I'm not really sure I know it's about transformation and really getting into your shadows, because Pluto is your depth, and Pluto is actually my planet. It's a Scorpio planet. So really, it's more for like a rebirth, like a phoenix.
Ah, okay. Like rising from the ashes.
Right, the ashes.
So, and for everybody, is that what you think? Like, this is the year for, if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking, I've been wanting to get into this. This is the year that it's supported.
This is the year that we're supported, and Jupiter is coming to us in April, and I could see it through my business too. It's amazing. It's like April, I'm going to Calgary, and then I have an expo in Vancouver. It just really coincides with what's going on with the energy. So I really follow what the astrologists are saying and what is happening in my world, and really taking reflections and journaling with the Akashic Records.
Okay, so when you are journaling, like you do with the Akashic Records, you work with individuals for their own specifics, but do you also, is there a kind of an Akashic record for the collective
consciousness?
Is there?
There is, yes, there is.
So do you tap into that? Can you tap into that and access some, supportive sort of insights that we can maybe help us to, because I'm noticing that although it feels lighter, it feels like more people are committed to peace, and that we still have that, like you're saying, the shadow stuff, we've got a lot of people who are upset about our food supply, the contamination of it and monkeying around with it, GMOs and, things that are, I don't have to say what they all are. There is a lot of dark stuff, but it's coming out now. Some of this stuff's been going on for a very long time, but now all of a sudden we can see it. Like more and more people are going, hey, what are they doing? What's happening to all of us? Poisoning the planet. Why are we doing this? So it's coming up, and I figure if it's coming up, it's like an infection in your body. If it's coming up, it wants to be healed. It wants to be seen. It wants to be let go of. So do you feel like, is that something that we're supported in doing? Is that why this is coming up? Or do you have any thoughts on this that would help us to make it a little easier to go through this transition?
Yes, I believe it's all about taking a personal inventory of yourself. So you have to deal with your own self. Like, like when a person wants to have love in their life, they have to be experiencing self-love. So in order for a person to attract or magnetize an intimate relationship, you have to really take a deeper, look at yourself and how you're handling things around you or your relationships. So we have to deal with an individual situation before we could heal the global. So healing oneself is really the most basics. It's the important factor in healing globally, because we can't go global if we don't heal our own self. So it really it's more taking a deeper look on your own agenda and your own life. And then you could touch other people.
So when we are doing our own work, healing our own self, learning self-love, does that work that we do just on ourselves, then it has that ripple effect and does support the changes in the world? Is that what you mean? Rather than trying to go out and change the food supply, you change what you're feeding yourself, metaphorically, like feeding spiritually, feeding your thoughts and all that stuff. And then does doing those kinds of things help to change the systems that are broken? Like that's how I see it. There's a lot of systems that are broken and they need healing. They need, but it's beyond that. It's like in some cases, we really need new systems. The way we're doing things is just it's not healthy. So, is that
exactly? So that's what So a person can heal herself, and when you heal yourself, your family members see that, and everyone that surrounds you. Like if I have a group of, for example, 30 people,
right,
and I bringing this passive energy and vibration, inspiration, empowerment, these people that surrounds me feels the gift, that the blessings, and they feel light and they feel happy, they feel easier on themselves, and they can feel the support from the group. So it's because I bring this energy, everybody can feel it, and these people will bring those energy in their world, right? So this is how I think humanity can step into empowerment by empowering their own self. So one person can create this rippling effect.
Exactly. Well, and it's always that chain reaction, isn't it? When you go out in the world. If you go out in the world angry, everybody you touch you're going to be spreading your anger. And if you go out in the world with love and a smile and happiness, everybody is going to feel that too. So I get that. And you can't do that unless you heal your own stuff. Because if you're angry, you're not going to, you can't go out and spread love when you're angry at yourself, or especially, which is usually where it starts with that anger. It's self.
I think it's that, you're toxic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like a vampire energy. So when a person starts talking, negative, or you could feel the vibration of the person who's talking, and then you could just redirect the story or ask another question that will make the person lighter. And I could see that with people that comes to me, and that really makes them realize, oh, what am I doing here? I'm starting to talk things that are not really helping me.
So
yes.
If I came to you, for example, just for anybody watching, so if I came to you and you said, "Hi, Catherine, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm terrible. The weather's awful. It's this, it's that." How would you redirect somebody who was talking like that? Because I could bring you down really pretty quick if I was, right? That would be that's kind of what happens. Like you're all happy in your world, whatever, and then somebody comes into your world. Like if you work in a store and you got a client comes by or something, and it's like, and you're like, "Hi, happy," and they're like, "Oh, what's so good about it?" It's blah, 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 and you get all that, right? Well, can you give us an example of how you would?
How would I manage it? Well, at first, I would tune into the person's heart. Of course, we're emotional. We have empathy. So I would just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." And then I would shift it. I would just say, "Oh, did you hear about my Hawaiian trip?" And I really had fun. And I couldn't, imagine myself without just spending time in nature and in the ocean. Sometimes you really need to, meditation helps. So if you're feeling this way, you could just, go and help yourself with nature and walk and feel that. So it's more coming into the heart energy, like the emotions, but really giving emphasis on what can help her. Like
and you're talking about, now this is a person but if you were working in a store, like you're a cashier, and somebody comes in like that, they're not going to want to hear about your trip to Hawaii when they just told you they're having a terrible day, right? So is there sometimes a time when you basically just would say, "I'm awful sorry to hear that," and not go on, not go anywhere else? Yes. Just leave it at that, so that
just cut it off.
Whenever possible, because that's the other thing. I think sometimes we try so hard to shift other people's energy, and it's not our job. If some people they just, we've all had days where, or moments. I've had moments where I was angry and somebody tried to cheer me up, and it's like, are you kidding me? I'm the happiest person going, and in this one moment, I'm angry. You let me be angry. Don't even try. I'll be happy in 5 minutes, but, because we need to express those things too, right? But I just think it's funny because it'll make, especially if you're a perpetually happy person, which, sometimes people say that about me, but I have my moments when I'm not happy. And I think it's important that we also honor that just don't stay there, you know, and don't try to bring it on to other people. That's the other thing. I mean, sometimes, you're angry. I never say I'm having a bad day, because that's silly, because, you know, the first part of the day is always great when you have your coffee, for me anyway. That part's always great. And then something else happens. So it can never be a whole day of, right? You have a moment that's something happens and it's maybe unwanted, that, you know, and then you move into something that is. So, but what I'm thinking of is, now that this shadow stuff, we're in this energy, by March, because that's when you said that Pluto thing.
In Pluto.
Yeah.
Square
and the shadow part, that part. So right now it's kind of revealing the shadow, which is maybe some of the stuff we see in the news and whatever, and in our own lives. Yeah. Then after March, it's about the 14th, isn't it, that changes?
Yes.
Right. So then after that,
I think it's the Jupiter, it's the expansion.
So it reveals it, and then is it now the time to look at it and heal it? And then when we move into the March energy, is it what happens? Like, what if we don't heal it? What if or how does that work? Or do you have a sense on that?
So when a person doesn't heal their shadow, it keeps repeating. So the universe gives you all these different situations with different actors, so to speak. And as long as you don't acknowledge that you have something to work on, then it keeps repeating, and you're the one who's suffering. Because this is a calling for you to really empower you, actually. So shadows for me is a catalyst. Mm-hmm. If you take a look at the shadow as a catalyst, then it could empower you and propel you to success. So it's really a shift of perception on how we see things, like fear. Uh-huh. If we fear as not as a barrier, but a door that will open you to a bigger perspective and a bigger path, to tread on. So looking as the shadow and fear as a catalyst for you to have success.
Well, transforming fear and to move to freedom, that's the focus of this show, right? And that's what I've always said, is fear people don't always understand that. Like, fear to me is the root behind all of the disharmony. It's always about that fear that you're not going to get your needs met, fear that you're, basically that's it, survival. And it just plays out in different scenarios. And I'm going to ask you something here, and if this isn't something that you want to address, that's fine too. But I had this conversation the other day actually with somebody, and I was talking about fear, and I was talking about war, and I was talking about what's going on the planet, and I said, it's always going to be what separates us is fear. It's always that sense of we need to talk. We need to talk to each other. We need to communicate. And when we do, we get to know each other. We find out we're not all that different. This is how really we're going to heal the planet. And somebody said, well, that's fine, except for the people that are really evil, the people that are really narcissists, the people that have these mental disorders where they, they just want to do harm. Okay, so, and I understand that happens. There are people who just do want to do harm. But I still say, for me, it's still fear. It's still the root. Even if they're a narcissist, it's all about them. Everything is all about them. It's because they fear they're not going to get their needs met. It's because they're trying to control somebody else or their world, because they're afraid, they don't feel safe. And I don't know if it's possible to heal somebody with those kinds of tendencies, those narcissistic things or whatever. But where do you see that? Like, from, I don't know if you've ever at the Akashic level ever seen, like, what is there healing for that kind of behavior, that kind of people? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're asking generally, it has to be a person's choice. It's a will. So the person has to really choose if he's ready to move forward or shift. Because if we're looking at general, like a collective consciousness, we're still having that vibration,
Right.
that shadow. Because it's a lot of healing, right? It takes a lot of healing to shift this. So I could just say it's always an individual's choice, but definitely the fear could shift into love. Well,
Okay,
this,
then. Well,
yeah,
I'm just okay, now then. Now I've had this conversation with other people as well, and I know different people have said we can all have a different experience on planet Earth. So people who really enjoy war and they want war, they can have that experience, whereas people who want peace can have the experience of peace. And at the same time, we can all be living on the planet and have these different experiences of it. So when you look at something like, the bigger issues like war or violence that's being, like random violence and stuff that's going on, if those people actually want to do that, there isn't anything that anybody else can do to shift that.
yes, it's their reality, it's their choice.
Yeah, but so I guess
It's their own. We take a look at it's their own soul's journey. So a person has their own soul's journey. So they're at the bottom of the like the dark side, the shadow. So their own soul is experiencing that, and that's their choice. And it's unfortunate that other people that are innocent are being affected by it, but that's their own journey, and they'll probably come back in a different level, or their consciousness will choose a different situation to accelerate their soul's path, right? So that's how I see things. Like we're like you cannot save people in the entire world.
No, I realize that, and I know this is a big subject, and I really didn't know I was going here, but somehow it's come up, and I guess what my question is from a broader perspective, and I'm kind of wondering, so for those of us who are seeking peace, like, okay, if there's people in the world that don't want peace, and they are going to go and kill other people, take people's lives, then the people that are being killed, like I guess what I don't understand is, yeah, the person that wants to be a violent person, hurt children and hurt, but people that do stuff like that, what about the child or the innocent, like you say, innocent people get killed? Well, and this isn't a personal thing, so I don't want anybody getting offended about, I'm talking about big picture here, deep, high.
Yes.
Is there some connection between the person that's doing this and the person who ends up to be their victim? Like, I know when, I forget now, there was a tsunami and a whole lot of children got killed. And what I understood from that was that those children, not consciously, but at a higher level, had agreed to be part of that tragedy, to open hearts all over the world, and then they would just reincarnate. So they knew that was going to happen, and it would create this ripple effect of amazing love and compassion. So if I was to look at that, and then I look at, say, this stuff that happened in France or whatever, where terrorists do things, at a soul level, do the people know that this is kind of like, do they agree at some level that, and it's so that it is a catalyst, so people say, enough, we're not doing this anymore? Is that how it shifts?
That's how it is. In a soul's perspective, there's a contract between people, the souls that are going to create this situation, and you are together so you would make a big, impact on the world. So it's opening hearts, opening our souls to healing,
Because
and that really is the impact for.
so that's what I'm wondering, is there, because we as a collective, it's my understanding, we as a collective have decided we weren't going to destroy this planet. We recognized that the path we were on was so destructive, we could have blown up the planet, but we didn't. We decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this differently. Excuse me. So the things that are happening right now, the people that are involved, not consciously, but at a higher level, regardless of their religions and all that stuff that's got nothing to do with it, but have decided to create so much chaos and what have you, that the people consciously look around and say, we're done, and we're going to shift that. Do you think that's what's going on right now? Because it feels like, the way that people, went out and stood together in Paris, as one, not in violence, is as one in hearts. They powerful to stand up in love, for peace, for for freedom. And so I just wondered if you think that's kind of how this is going to all happen, or I guess I'm trying to understand how this can continue when we have collectively decided we're going for peace.
Yes, that's you nail it. That's how it works.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. Like anything massive, like like I could just think of 9/11.
Okay, yeah.
Massive like that truly opened there's a lot of awakening, and it brings awareness to our humanity that we want to have peace in our existence. So as we go through it, we just have to become an observant of what's going on and not be attached to fear. Mm-hmm. Or to the drama, because what happened is the media or whatever is trying to put attention to fear, and then it creates more fear
and divide people.
Yeah,
and these people are bad, and these people are good, and we know that's not true, because everybody is a spark of the divine. But I'm trying to figure out that what some people will argue is that there are people who are they don't want peace. Mm-hmm. They don't want, and so I guess that's the personality, that's the ego, that part. But and I'm trying to figure out, well, what is the best way for us, that those people who are, just want to have fun, want to thrive, want everybody to have good food, want kids to have water and be healthy, and everybody. We just want everybody to get along. And then people make fun of that and say, oh yeah, all the people that, why doesn't everybody just get along? Well, that's not how it works in the real world. And it's like, that is so old school. That is so, yeah, it's an old paradigm. Exactly. And it doesn't work. I mean, it's the eye for the eye, tooth for a tooth, and the whole world's blind and has no teeth. So how's that help?
Yeah, it doesn't help.
No. But so I guess, when you, I know you do a lot of work, personal work with people, but when you, yes. I'm kind of talking more global today, I guess that's how I feel. And so I'm curious, because I know there are different energy vortexes all over the planet. I know Banff is a big energy vortex in Alberta, and I know Mount Shasta is a big one. But I also know in Hawaii, yes. It's considered to be very sacred and very amazing energy. So I wondered if, like, you went there, you did a seminar and met with people and connected. And if anybody's watching from those things, hello from Canada, and it's so exciting to connect through Teza. But what was your sense of, like, I mean, the earth energy.
Oh, it's so beautiful in Hawaii. It's just so you can feel the love from the earth. It's just amazing. You're so connected, and we did a hike in Diamond Head, which is like a mountain. You just feel it, and you feel vibrant. You're just free, and you're in nature. I snorkel, and I see the school of fishes, and I'm like, oh my God, there's another world here. It's just amazing. I didn't want to leave the water. It's so it's a paradise. So the spirit, you don't even need to do healing, because the nature is heals itself. It's just amazing. I just love. I wonder why Americans don't live in Hawaii, because that's the perfect place to live.
Well, there's quite a few of them living there. I mean, actually, they're Hawaiians are Americans, right? They did.
I know, but it's like it's not overpopulated at all. It's so beautiful, but I guess people that lives there, it just attracts that energy. And yeah, I cannot say enough. It's just amazing. It's an experience.
But I get that the sacredness and the culture and whatever, and I think it's wonderful that it is still so preserved, and so considered sacred. And everybody that I ever hear that goes there seems to have that same experience. It's sacred. It's beautiful. But what you look at the globe, and there's this one place that has that sacred energy that's like that. And I mean, there's different vortexes and places all over the globe. Australia has its own, specific areas and sacred places, and
Arizona,
and Africa. They're all the different continents have different places, but why Hawaii the way it has, and why haven't we learned or been able to bring that kind of energy through? It makes me feel like, if you had healing hands,
yes,
then why wouldn't the rest of your body also be healed? So if Hawaii is healing energy, and then we have all these vortexes of healing energy, so how can the earth as a whole, as a sentient being,
not be like Hawaii?
Why can't? Is it just because it's in the process of that healing energy? I guess I'm asking you. You better get channeling up there and get some information here, because this is
what I'm getting is it's about it's a vast universal energy. So in this field, we have attachments. We have entities, we have negative beings that doesn't want us to ascend. So before we could ascend, like increase or raise our vibration, like Hawaii, we need to clear the entities and the attachments in our field, and we need more spiritual healers, and to clear these energies, because they don't just go away. They're attached to your own energy field. So a person who had tapped into the dark shadows and devil or whatever acts they're doing, actually, literally or unconsciously, they don't know that their energy field has attachments. So that's the spiritual work that I do. I actually clear the energy fields of the person, and that helps heal the soul. So the body.
I am getting something here. I get this. And that's the reason why we have certain areas that are more violent, that it's those entities that hasn't been healed. Like Hawaii's had so many sacred healers and right, and some places in the other continents where they've had this sacred, they've kept true to the Mayans with the sacredness of the earth, and that the connection has always been there. It's never been lost. They never got caught up in the consumerism and the materialist obsessions. Not that there's anything wrong with material. I mean, we're here on a physical world. I get that, but I'm starting to get where we have these vortexes of positive wanted energy to help. Then we have these pockets of places where these things, awful things have happened, like in the United States, Civil War that, killed a lot of people. In Canada, we didn't have as much of that going on. So we do have some places where there's been some awful things happen, horrific things have happened in Canada, but not like in Europe where, Germany had, all that kind of stuff happening. So those kinds of places, is that kind of where, I know there have been healers going around and doing blessing and helping with the vortexes and stuff like that. But is that kind of what we need to do collectively to, as we've raised the vibration and more people connect with that, is that where the healing really is going to take us?
Yes, that's why they're called light workers. So anyone who does energy healing, light workers, prayers, spiritual prayers, that helps clear the family lineage, the house that you reside. They have attachments as well. Anything that is, being tapped into the dark energies. So that's the answer.
Yeah. So the people who might have been here eons ago and did something really awful, then they don't want to go to the light. They stay around the earth. Yeah. They call them earthbound souls or earthbound energies. So they don't want to go to the light because they don't think they're worthy, because what they did was so terrible, and it perpetuates, and they keep doing it over and over again towards more, human beings. And do you think that, I know this is not medical advice or anything, but I'm just curious, do you think that that's what a lot of mental illness is about?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. I've had a client that she was dying of cancer of the blood, and she gave up hope. But she's very smart. She's actually has like 3 degrees or something, and she wanted to release the karma of these negative energies, and she called them forth in her body. So I was doing a Skype session with her, and I was seeing a horrific energy fields, which, it was kind of shocking for me as a new healer. Like, this was 2009. And I've investigated the work that we're doing. Every time she talks about depression or abuse, these entities comes out in the camera.
Wow.
And yes. So then I realize, I come into a theory about when the person is going through a depression, trauma, abuse, these entities literally feeds into the body. And that's why they have a difficulty racing, that they have difficulty being inspired. Like, they cannot lift, they're really low and depressed. And they get into that mental illness because they're hearing voices, they're in their pain body, because they cannot help themselves. There's an entity, there's a being.
Something else interfering with their free will. And
yes.
And you can help people. I mean, I'm not saying obviously that's not the only thing you do, but is that something you can help?
Help? That's what I do. Well, so they come to me unconsciously, actually. They don't know that they're carrying this.
Yeah, no, of course not. Yeah. And what I'm thinking is that maybe this is going to be the healing of the future, which was the healing of the past.
Yes.
Excuse me.
This has been done, the exorcist, with the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like that.
Yeah.
Except,
but even
for the religion, like I don't have that. Like, clients come to me not because they're Catholic or something, but I consciously have that, I guess, power, or the gift, the blessing to help people to heal this and this clearing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what the ancient doctors, witch doctors did, and the native Aboriginal peoples worked with. I mean, they were aware of the different layers of our spiritual selves, and then some of them could see if there was entities and so forth, and we kind of turned that into Hollywood stuff instead of recognizing that reality. And look at our world. Think about it. If we all have free will, do you think people would consciously choose to live in poverty, consciously choose to be mean and cruel and hurt other people? There's other influences, and I'm not a big fan of calling it certain names, because I think we that's when it gets discredited, because we don't understand it. It's like this. So I really appreciate you talking about this with me today, and hopefully this will help our listeners and people watching, because I really feel like sometimes it gets frustrating when you are working for peace and you're healing yourself and seeing, and then you look around every so often, you peek out and you go, holy smokes, what's going on in the world? What can I do? And I think you really touched on something major. If the earth itself has a pain body. The earth itself has memory of all this stuff that's happened. So I think it's a good idea to take a look and see what we can do in a positive way. I mean, obviously not everyone's going to agree with this, and that's okay too. I mean, that's why I do what I do, is so that we can have different points of view and see where that takes us. So what have you got going on now for this new energy? You mentioned a couple of things. You're coming to Calgary. Is that for an expo?
Yes, in April. But I'm actually going to Tucson, Arizona in first week of February.
For a holiday or for work? For an expo? Or?
I combine holiday and work.
Well, I'm just... is it something that people can connect with you there, or?
Yes, I have a meetup in Tucson. It's called Tucson Akashic Records with Teza, and I have some people that are meeting me, and it's actually about crystals. It's a gem world trade in Tucson, so it's an international event. I love crystals.
Yeah.
So I'm incorporating crystals in my business. So I'm going there to connect with wholesalers and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there's so much power and so much we don't know about crystals yet that is being revealed, and I find that very exciting. I'm always interested in crystals, so it'll be interesting next time we chat. Maybe talk about what you've discovered about the crystals and the energy, because that's something I haven't really talked about a lot on the show, but I know there's a great deal of benefit to having them in it. I mean, I have them everywhere in my house and so forth, but I think I'm thinking, because they've discovered more and more of these big crystal caves and stuff, there's a reason we're discovering it now, and I have a feeling it's going to be the next source of power, the next source of and free energy and that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, so there's that. And then people can go to your website. And I mentioned your book, Teza Universal Conscious Self, which people can still get this available.
Yes. Amazon and Balboa Press.
Amazon and Balboa Press. Okay. And also you can get more about Teza on lgrcc.com. And do you want to give them your website, Teza?
It's www.akashic-soul-healing.com.
Okay. I think that's on the guest link on the website as well, if people are not sure. But so this has been wonderful. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, Teza, that I may not have touched on? And we sure did go in a lot of different directions today.
Oh, nothing much. It's really awesome, like how we go through this. It's unexpected, whatever is going on, and it's amazing. I love doing this with you, and thank you so much.
Well, I love doing it with you too. It's such a great connection, and it's always so we never know where we're going to go, which is great because, I always figure that we're picking up a bit on people that are listening and what they need to hear, because you never know what's important. But I do think it's important now more than ever to realize that we have tools, that we are empowered, that we can be more effective. We don't have to lose hope, or even if, it looks like things are dark, like you say, we don't have to be afraid of the shadows. We can learn to use them as a catalyst and to take us into that. They talk about the golden age, and I think that'll be a wonderful thing. So thank you so much, Teza.
You're welcome. Thank you, Catherine.
Oh, wonderful. And for all you watching, until next time, take care. Isn't that amazing? Thank you to my guests for sharing with us today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link. You can join us for live shows by going to letsgetrealchattinwithcatherine.com and listen to the replays from the show page, preview guests, and explore links to our Facebook fan page, WordPress blog, and more. We are creating an exquisite world. Until next time, take care.